little announcement. I received the candle order more than I thought. Actually, the label was short, so I couldn't make two candles. So I have a little favor of you. If you order multiply, more than one candle, could you just select if I can send it to you later?
I'll take my two off, Aki. I've got one at my house. So
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do it later.
But we can meet anytime, so you will come back. So
yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's stand for prayer.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, as we forgive those who transgress against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Absolute, infinite beingness, God, everlasting life, love, and mercy, manifesting yourself in yourself as the total wisdom and the almightiness. Enlighten our minds to understand you as the truth. Clean our hearts to reflect your love towards you and towards all other human beings. Amen.
okay, good. Maria, could you put on that slide where it shows, it's right next to the one you made. Yeah.
What?
Okay, we're going to talk about our three bodies and three worlds of existence today, but before we start, I just want to say this. In the end, when the king comes, he'll call all the nations together and separate them into two groups. One group on his right, one group on his left. This is Christ's parable. To the ones on the right, he'll say, "Come, my blessed ones, come inherit the kingdom of heaven, which was prepared for you since the foundation of the world." And they will say, "Why?" And he says, "Because when I was sick, you came and tended to me. When I was in prison, you visited me. When I was naked, you clothed me. And when I was hungry, you fed me. Come inherit the kingdom." And they'll say, "Lord, when did we do these things? When did we see you naked, hungry, or in prison?" And he says, "Whatever you've done for the least of my brothers, you've done for me." And he'll turn to the group on his left and say, "Depart from me, you cursed ones. For when I was naked, you gave me nothing, no clothes. When I was hungry, you did not feed me. When I was in prison, you did not visit me. And when I was sick, you did not care for me." And they too, they're going to say, "Lord, when did we see you in prison, naked and hungry?" And he said, "Whatever you didn't do for the least of my brethren, you didn't do for me." I want to say that because we've been talking about this, there's a lot of talk about the end times. There's a lot of change. There's a lot of end of our old world and a new world beginning. And there is going to be a separation. It's called the separation of the goats and sheep. And people are separating by themselves. Now, first of all, understand that Christ did not curse them. They cursed themselves by not caring for everybody else. And when he sends them into eternal damnation, that just means incarnation. Because in incarnation, there's always some trouble going on, right? Always. So it doesn't mean they end up in this hell forever. It just, while you're incarnated on earth, it's eternally, there's problems eternally that you have to sort out until you get the lesson. And the lesson is to care for everybody else like you care for yourself. So I just want to say that. So today we're going to talk about the three worlds of existence and our three bodies. And we have these three bodies as vehicles of our soul as we pass through these three worlds. So we have a material body for the material world. Now you can see the worlds laid out here. The blue represents the material world. These are worlds of existence. The pink represents the psychical world. And the yellow represents the noetical world. And as you see, that ray comes down and then gets dressed in three bodies corresponding to each world. So we're here on the material world, and wow, it's solid, isn't it? But where are these higher worlds? Well, they're right here, but we don't feel them. Why don't we feel them? Why don't we know them? We don't know them because you have to raise your vibrations to the level of that world vibrating to be able to receive impressions from it. You know, and that's what some mediums and psychics do. But don't think just because they say they're a medium or psychic, they're getting this thing perfectly. So what's solid to us is what vibrates in harmony with our body. So if our material body would die, we would go to the psychical world, then there would be solid. But to the psychical world, the material world isn't solid. So what's solid to us is the corresponding vibrations. Same thing with the noetical. You can't really feel the noetical until you're on it, on that vibrational plane. And one of the things Dasclos used to do to train the students is he would take us to these worlds. He would take us and he would take us into a room, for example, and say, move that chair. And if you could move the chair, it meant the chair and you were on the psychical plane, right? Because you can now move it. But sometimes he'd take you into the material plane in your psychical body, and then your hand passes right through it. And when that happens, you can walk through walls. There's no need to, you could do that on the other side too, but you don't think of it that way. You're so used to this material world, you think everything is the same, but it's not. On the other side, you could walk through the walls if you knew how. But on this side, I have definitely walked through the walls in my psychical body. So I'm verifying what he's saying is absolutely true. So,
What about the noetical when he took you up to the noetical plane?
it's the same. If you were in a noetical body, the noetical plane is solid to you. Now, there's a great deal of difference between these planes. Different laws govern each one. As I think I said before, law of cause and effect is the prime law governing everything. Whatever we do has a corresponding reaction or a consequence, good or bad. In the psychical world, it's the law of attraction and repulsion. And this part's really kind of interesting to try to think about. I'll tell you the story he had. He had a lady in the neighborhood and that he grew up in when he was young. And she lived in a kind of a rundown house. And every day she was opening the window and yelling at the neighbors and shouting and trying to, you know, impose her will on the neighbors. And, you know, people didn't like her, right? Nobody liked her. So Dasclos, as a 70-year-old guy, 75-year-old guy, he goes back and wants to see what she's doing now that she's passed over. She's in the exact same house, doing the exact same thing. And he said, but to approach her, he said, I made myself 7 years old, so she would recognize me. So he approached her and he said, Auntie, what are you doing? Well, I gotta do this every day. And he says, come, I'll show you a better place to live. And she said, no, I have to wait till I give these people their lesson. So here she is in this dilapidated house, shouting at the neighbors, just like she did when she was alive. But I just told you the other day that in the psychical world, it's the law of attraction and repulsion. So they're repelling everything they don't like and attracting everything they do like, which means their conditional hell is what they want, right? She liked this. This is what she wants. That's why she isn't in a better place. And he said he's tried to draw her out, but she can't come out. So this means that one man's hell is another man's paradise. So the thing to think about is what the quote from Christ about whatever you bind on earth, you will bind in heaven. She bound this behavior, and so it travels with her to heaven, her heaven, right? But to everybody else, it would be a hell. So this is very, very important. And when we do the introspection and really, really be honest with ourselves, where we really are. I mean, everybody thinks they're all right, right? Nobody thinks they're bad. But is everything you're doing in life really all right? We have to look at it. I mean, we're obviously not out killing people or stealing things, but there are things we're doing that are violating the laws in a more subtle way, for sure. So it's very, very important to be able to identify that and disenergize that before crossing over, because now what that means is you'll rise to a higher plane in the psychonoetical world. Now in the psychical world, there's 7 main planes of existence, lower to higher. And within those 7 planes, there's 7 more subdivisions. So there's 49 planes total in the psychical world, and it's the same thing with the noetical world. And remember, when you're in the psychical world, the noetical is right there with you. Our material body's here, but our psychical body's here. Our noetical body is right here. And how many people realize when they get mad at something that they're misusing their psychical body? And what do? They get mad, they shout. If they get really mad, they start to turn red, right? That's the sign that they're making a bonfire out of their etheric vitality. And after a fight's over between 2 people, both people feel exhausted. That's another proof that you're just wasting this etheric vitality, which is a holy substance. And it should be used for something creative and good. So, who creates these planes? The archangels create the 7 main planes, but we're creating the 7 subplanes. And it just so happens I don't think this will follow. This is kind of what it's like. You know what this is?
Temperature thing.
Galileo's thermometer. And each of these spheres inside has a fluid in it, and it's got a certain weight on it. So when the temperature changes, they rise and fall, and they tell the temperature. Amazing. It's sort of like that for us. These balls might be considered our shells. So if you have really negative thoughts, you'll find yourself in the lower subplanes. If you have really beautiful thoughts, you'll find yourself in the upper subplanes. And it's in the lower subplanes where you find these conditional hells, and it's in the upper planes that you find what we call the paradises. And so, but you say, well, I definitely want to be in the upper planes where the paradises are. Well, those paradises are shells too. And they can be just as confining, limiting as the other ones, in the sense that it's a shell. You're not really in the psychical plane. You can't see it. It's right all around you. You're in it, but your shell is like a bubble that has a reflective side to it, And so you don't really see the real psychical world until you drop these, paradise or hell, you drop these conditions. If you drop the conditions and just be, then you can see that world. You can come out of your shell and see that world. Now, in the psychical planes, while you're in these shell worlds, people visit each other in their shells just like we visit each other in our houses. So, but in the lower ones, the people tend to be very isolated and not around other people. For example, Daslos told a story about him and the invisible helpers go and they find this guy who's a miser, right? And he's in his shell and he's just simply counting his money over and over. That's all he's doing, counting his money. And he sees an angel there, but the angel can't even approach because the guy thinks the angel's there to steal his money. And what can you do with that? You can't do much with that, right? Until they start to relax down. But so his shell is so impermeable that he is just isolated in there. He's been there hundreds of years. So you can't stay there forever. Sooner or later, he's drawn on. But they stay there for a long, long time till they try to burn out, hopefully burn out that kind of attachment, that kind of bondage that they created for themselves.
What is the activity of the archangels on the other side?
They just show up as people in your shell. They'll come in your shell and you'll think it's a person. There's another great story I love. Daslos had a friend and young, and when he would go play with his friend, that father would always fix him, what was it? I don't know, some dish that he really liked. Anyway, father passes over. That friend becomes one of Daslos' close disciples, and they said, let's go see what he's doing. So they go over. He's in exactly the same house, right? Everything's the same. Oh, nice to see you. I'll fix your favorite food. He starts fixing his favorite food for him and everything. Now, in the material world, this guy always dreamed of having a new couch. He had an old couch, right? He always dreamed of having a new couch. And so Daslos says, well, so what are you doing up here? You working? No, I don't have to work anymore. Oh, that's good. How'd you get the new couch? He says, a distant cousin brings me whatever I need. And so then the distant cousin shows up, and it's an angel just pretending to be his cousin and brings him the couch or whatever he absolutely needs. Because he doesn't know how to do it for himself. Now this is, again, I keep saying this, having the skill of visualization is like being born rich because you now know how to do that. You don't need an angel to do it. But for those who don't know how to do it, there are angels there to help give them what they think they need in their show. Yeah.
What would be the difference, so with the thermometer, right, and the planes, 7 planes, why the distinction between 7 planes if it's all a matter of vibration? Why not to see it as just one tube, like this, and just different rates? So what is the border? That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. From one plane to the other, what is the distinction of one plane to the other if it's not just vibration, and why to call it 7?
Well, the psychic world is not just one vibration, it's many vibrations, and that's what the planes are. It's the density. And in the lower planes, the people there, they're killing animals, they're having sex. Sorry, in the higher planes, there's no sex. So that's kind of bad news for some people. and one of the disciples or somebody asked Christ, this woman, this woman had a husband, he died, and she married his brother, and they married, and she ends up with 7 husbands. He said, in the heaven world, which husband is she married to? And he said, in the heaven world, they're not married. They're like angels. There's no marriages. So I always thought that meant you're free to date around after you die. Yes.
How do we know that this is reality and this is not a shell?
There's a simple test for that. And then you have to ask you 3 questions. Do you get hungry around mealtime, sleepy around bedtime, and can't touch your left elbow with your left pinky? Then you're here. Because on the other side, you don't get hungry. And that's what Dascos would try to wake people up to. When was the last time you ate? And they would always say, you know, I just haven't felt hungry. When was the last time you sleep? Don't feel sleepy. So if you feel sleepy and hungry, you're here. Yes.
This second level seems like isolated to me. Am I getting it wrong? Like, if you're surrounded with your own elementals,
Mm-hmm.
like how are you relating to others? I mean, are you really just kind of cut off from everyone?
Well, you'll have whoever you love and really like will be there with you, even though they're still on Earth. Now, how is that possible?
It's your elemental projecting of them.
Yes, but that elemental projection of everybody, the essence of it comes from the real soul of that person. And then we dress it with what we know. So if I knew you on Earth and and you were very, very rich and everything, and I go over, I'm going to think it's what I know of you from Earth, that's what you will be in my shell. But if something happens to you and you lose your money, I won't know that in the shell.
But I'll never learn anything more of you. Like that relationship can't grow because it's not real.
No, it's very real. There was a student in Dascos was telling this, and he goes, "What? They're only elementals?" And Dascos says, "What? You think you're really with me now?" No, we create an elemental of each other based on what everybody's telling us and what we notice about them and everything. So we create that elemental right here, and it's not the real person. It's our perception of the person. And sometimes we have things in us that make us perceive things incorrectly in other people, and that we don't like them or something because we think something. So it's all our creation. We are the creators of all our shell world, all our relationships. Yes.
So if I am getting it, this fourth dimensional psychical world is really similar to this one.
The mission?
No, the fourth dimensional psychical world is similar to this one.
It's identical to this one.
So what's the purpose of it?
The purpose of this is because the law of attraction, you're going to attract what you like. And that idea is to calm you down, to get you prepared for the next incarnation. So you have your world just as you like it. Nothing will be there that you don't like. Like if you have a house and your husband has an ugly chair and you hated it, right? It's not going to be in your shop. But if you have something you like, everything, forks, down to forks. I mean, every individual thing that you like will be there.
But I won't realize or I won't feel the difference of what I like or I dislike because it's like being again in a...
Yeah, and that calms the personality down.
Because then what's the purpose of coming down if I am having such a great time?
Because you got to come down and learn how to tolerate things that don't agree with you. There's lessons to be learned. Like, you know, if you're just around everything you like, you're not. The tendency to grow is not very strong because you got everything you want, right? Why should I make an effort? But you down here is where the real work begins.
So the chance to continue going to the upper levels is coming down, learn, and next time I will be in the next one.
Yeah, you'll be higher next time because you'll get lessons.
I got it.
Yeah, and plus people owe you. You owe people. You have debts with other people. You've done something wrong. You have to balance that off. But same thing with them. So people in your life that sort of benefit you, it's all about balance. To the end of the day, where everything balances out.
Then all the time we go back to our heavens, whatever heaven we imagine, and come back
Yeah.
in here to learn the lesson,
Yeah.
go back to more higher heavens.
That's right. You just keep higher and higher until you no longer need that incarnation process. And in the Bible it says you no longer go and come and go out. It's the
What about the case of someone who lived a very enthusiastic and generous life in their early years, and as they got older became more of this miser? Is it the second half of life that carries directly into the next period? And
Yeah,
then
it's-
can that person then recover the love and spirit that they had earlier in life
Well,
as they
they've
progress?
made good karma by being generous in the first part of their life, but at the end of their life, that whatever they're doing is their vibration, is their tone, and that's what determines your place in this thing. So, it's like that.
The last shall be first. And
Yeah. So when a person dies, what happens? Well, the first thing that happens is Raphael cuts the silver cord, which supplies the etheric vitality to the mature body, and it just immediately starts getting cold. And that's a sign that the Michaels have left the body. And what the Michaels do is they escort the personality over to the other side, where they're put in a state of sleep. If you've had a strong, intense life, you sleep for about 40 days. And then you wake up and you're kind of, it's after a good sleep at night, you kind of feel refreshed. You're not all bothered by the day before. And then they just find themselves where? In the psychical plane. No one puts them in this psychical plane, subplane. They put themselves by their vibrations, by the way they behave. And they just carry on living the same life, the same name, the same residual image of themselves, which means the image of their body.
So we can have seminars there with you?
You do.
Yeah.
Dude, Daphos has massive ones here.
And so we can learn more?
Absolutely.
And keep
If
going.
you have that interest.
Well, if that's what I like and love to
That's your
do.
heaven will. That's what it'll be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have golf courses there too then.
You know, the golf courses are right next to the seminar.
Hey, that's great.
Coincidence.
Is there such thing as an angel of death then that helps you over, or is that?
No, Michael's the one that escorts
So-
you
okay,
over. Yeah.
okay.
I know, there's no Grim Reaper with the sickle coming after you.
Gabriel
But,
does something though.
What's that?
In that process, Gabriel has a role.
I'm not getting it.
Does Gabriel, the archangels, Gabriel, they have a role in that moment?
Well, they built a lot of the Gabriels stay with the body because it takes a long time for the body to dry up. And when it's dried up, the Gabriels have left. But the etheric goes first, then the warmth, which is the Michael, and then the Gabriels. And that turns from liquids to gases that make the smell, right? So,
But it goes quicker if you're cremated.
yeah, that's a good point. The etheric, well, I should say, the etheric's cut, the connection of the etheric is cut, so you go. You can't stay in there with that silver cord cut. But I made a misstatement. The etheric stays with the body. And in Greece, they have this thing, in old world places, where they would bring the body home. They didn't go to a hospital or something. And they would light candles around the body, which helped burn the thing off. And they would create a vigil over the body. Somebody would watch the body. And this was, Daslo said, that black magicians know how to take the etheric off a dead body and then use it for bad purposes. So they have to have a vigil around it. But the cremation, it's all gone at once. It's all gone at once. So now, they go through their sleep. And it's in the sleep where you get your life review. That's where you go through and the angel, your guardian angel, gives you the life review. And sometimes, if you aren't a very good person, and the way they give you the life review, they just reflect your life. They're not telling you anything. They just reflect, and you see your life in them. And Yohanan said, in that moment, so many people go, oh, I see a monster. And the guardian angel says the same thing every time. You are the monster, I'm the mirror. Change to be a better self, or a better reflection. So we see our good and our less than good activities, thoughts, emotions, feelings in that mirror of the guardian angel.
And if we're the right spirit and mindset, then we can grow from that.
Yeah.
If we recognize, well, yeah, that's monster is me, I don't want to be that monster.
Yeah, and that's really another purpose of the psychic plane. If you're really astute, and not only are you enjoying what you enjoy, but you also are reflecting back on your whole life. And that's determines sort of the time you spend there. You reflect back and then you make plans. Well, gee, I didn't do this very good in this life. Next lifetime, I want to really, give the right expression here. I didn't do it in the last lifetime.
And
Not that most people do that, but real researchers, real seekers of truth do.
well, it'd be kind of sad to me if I learned a lesson about how to love and give and everything, and I go get reincarnated and I don't know that anymore. But that's not going to happen.
And that's always in you. Whatever you truly learn, we truly get, you truly master, stays within you. But that new personality has to reach to that. But it's often
has to find that.
all everything from our past life is pretty much on the surface on our next life as lessons learned and lessons
Yeah.
to be learned.
Because I need more different kinds of experience to learn different levels of
Yeah.
goodness or
Yeah.
whatever.
So we come in with these talents and predispositions. Those are just what were carried over from previous lives.
I think the Egyptians have a wonderful symbology of the weighing of the heart by Ma'at
Yeah, I love
at
that.
the end, and if it's heavier than a feather,
Yeah.
there's
The
still
feather, and the feather stands for truth.
truth. In the first seminar, you mentioned something, maybe it was in Daskalos' Symbol of Life book. The ancient Egyptians, they were quite good on the black magic side too, and they did something to the body in order to prevent the subtle bodies from being able to detach. There was something they could do to the body. What was that again? I can't find it.
They would cut the person's body open, pour tar in it,
That was it.
covered in tar, and buried upside down in a pit of tar with these incantations on it, these black
Oh, wow.
magic spells. And it could prevent someone from getting out, hundreds of years. Can you imagine being these guys were,
Experts.
they need some lessons. They need some lessons. Yes.
Is there a moment during our experience in the psychical when we died that we actually realize, okay, I died and I'm here, and is there a moment of awareness?
Awareness that the material bodies died?
Yeah.
Yes, but that goes through, of course, 80% of the people that die, their material body, have no idea that their bodies died. But there are people there, angels as well, that try to help them understand that and understand what the new conditions are and the new laws and how to do it. Just like when we incarnate here, there's somebody here trying to help us understand how it works down here, our parents, our teachers.
And would it be like a lucid dream? If we wake up and realize our material body is dead, that we can actually start experiencing the psychical plane with an awareness, or
Yes.
or when we realize we cross to the noetical?
No, it's just like here, people are starting to wake up, oh, I'm here, oh, this is how it works, it's the same way.
Okay.
Same way. And the reason they don't notice they're dead is because after the sleep, they find themselves in an appropriate subplane, but they find themselves in a house that they love the most. Maybe it's not the last house, but whatever house in their life that they really, really love the most, that's the house they'll find themselves in. And like on Earth, how do we get houses here? Well, you build it, or somebody gives it to you, or you borrow money and have somebody build it for you. But it's sort of the same on the other side. There are, like people who are living in houses and they give them to their offspring, basically. You can go to your parents' house, for example. Daskalos would go visit his parents in their house. So, but you can create them. I one time I had this design I did one time and I never got it built, but I always loved the design of it. So one night I found myself in the psychical plane, and just by strong concentration, it was materializing. So I got fulfilled on that after all.
So Steiner talks about this step where you meet the guardian at the gate, and it sounds kind of like this review where you see the reflection of yourself. But my understanding is that happens before you die. Is there any chance that you can have such a review consciously before you die?
Sure, sure. They do come and reflect things to you. And if it's not something good, we call it the sting of consciousness. Haven't you ever, you realize, oh, darn, I really screwed that up. I really hurt that person's feelings. I didn't mean to, but and then you feel that pain of the sting of consciousness. It's very painful, very painful. So they do it only just to really wake the person up who's totally blind to what's happening.
So there we have this chance of reviewing our life, no?
Mhm.
And maybe to experience that pain that we caused, and then to stay in that experience till we think that we already know it, and then go to the next one and like trying to clean it. So it is that place what we know as the purgatory?
What's the last one?
Purgatory?
Purgatory. No, those guys on the moon that are trapped in those, or they're put in those maximum security hospitals, that's the real purgatory.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, we say, okay, so we go to the other side, we have every house we love, the location we love, the people in our shell who we love, and it means, you know, that's that person's heaven, even if it's in hell to somebody else, which is telling us the real hells are on earth. We're not going to experience that kind of pain on the other side. When we reflect on it, like I said, 80% don't realize they have reached to the other side, and they slowly wake up. And the real amazing thing, and it's the same right here, they could look up from their shell and see the glory of the real psychical plane, but they don't. They're caught in this illusion, right? Just like there's dangers on this side, there's dangers on the other side, and the danger is getting caught in illusion. Have you ever had a dream you just can't get out of?
Oh.
That's exactly what's happening. You're caught in this illusion. Sometimes you may be, I know I'm dreaming, but I can't get out of it, right? So that's a kind of a thing, kind of a danger on the other side. It's just to be caught up in illusion. It's going to be a pleasant illusion for you, but it's still an illusion. And in fact, really all three worlds of existence are illusions. And we can say they're illusions because they're not real. They change. They're not ultimately real.
So why to bother not to get caught in illusion if everything is an illusion?
Well, that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're coming out of one illusion, another layer to layer upon illusion. And the thing is, as you go through these other planes, you start to feel more your real self. And by the time you get to the lower noetical plane, you feel very, very close to your real self. And then there's the higher noetical plane where you are you really are that real self. You've come off all the illusion. And there you stand at the threshold of the eternal now, because everything beyond that is the eternal now. Yeah.
So the tools to go through those stages, we start them here and make them be a good heart and awareness?
Yeah, it's just raising your awareness. And it's just, you know, all that means is you're going through layers and layers of relative realities. They're not ultimate realities, but they're strong realities for us. We experience them very strongly. And it's, again, just to give us our lessons, and for us to come out of our illusions, drop our negativity and impurities, so we can rise higher and higher until we actually realize we are that self. Now, I was really wanting to do this, but I didn't have time to put it together. What this is like is, you see my hand. Now imagine I put on a real thin glove over that hand, right? And then I put another glove over that. Then I put a really thick one over that. That's what we are right now. And we're trying to do things, but we're covered in these bodies. The material body is most dense, like a big, heavy winter glove, right? But the inside, they get thinner and thinner. So try to imagine playing the piano with these three gloves on, right? You can sort of do it, but you take off that material glove and, wow, I'm doing it a lot better. Take off that final one, you've got a noetical glove, it's very thin, boy, I'm really doing it. Take it off, that's you. the glove, you see the gloves moving, but it's not the gloves moving themselves, it's the spirit soul in the glove. So these bodies are our three vehicles for the three worlds of existence.
You gave us, one time, explained to us, is like, our real self is like a light bulb,
Yeah,
and we put on a shade and a shade and a shade and a shade. Pretty soon, the light's there, but none of it escapes.
depends how dirty your
And so
shade
what
is.
we are trying to do is remove the glove and remove the lampshades.
Yeah, even is in the slower process, what you're trying to do is clean the lampshade.
Oh,
You know, and eventually you take it off, and then you got another one. Well, you got to clean that one too.
I got you,
And eventually, you're the bulb. You're the light.
got you.
But it's true that that the reflection is not just when we die; it's in everyday life.
Yeah,
We have
we're-
reflection from the other people, something what we don't like to us. We can reflect in other people and we see that thinking, I don't like it. But in reality, you need to do the introspection to see that that's why you
don't
have it.
like
Why
it?
you?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the question we have to ask. Why don't I like it?
Yeah, because I see it in
There's
me.
something in me,
and-
an enlightened person, it's like they're clean. They don't have all this reaction to people because they don't have anything to react to. And the only reason, when you watch people have big reactions to things, that reveals more about them than what they're reacting to, because it reveals there's something in them. So when you have a big reaction, stop right there and start to ask yourself the question, what am I really reacting to and why?
Daniel, would you say a part of those layers that we kind of have that we're removing as we're going on, is part of that like an attachment to or a fear of loss of like our identity, that we kind of hold on to these illusions that make us feel comfortable? It sounds like we hold on to what makes us feel comfortable here, and then it's also the same way in the cyclical plane. So that stuff starts to go away, but we're actually holding on to it because we're afraid that we're going to lose what we mistakenly think is ourself.
Perceive as ourself. We've misidentified our personality to be our real self, and so when that starts changing or, breaking down, we sort of panic. It's like the slide of Plato's cave. Those prisoners, when they're first freed, they turn around, they see the light of the fire. They're like, I want to go back into the shadows again. It's too painful. So it takes a lot of courage to walk this path. And there are real dangers on this path. Life and death dangers. Not to most people, but some people it depends on what they need to learn, but they have to face life and death challenges. Okay, good.
I have something to tell. This work, the final work is about the psychonoetical, the work in the psychonoetical planes, psychical world, and underworld means the psychical world, and the noetical world. And this is really relating to the invisible helpers. Once we cleanse all three bodies, lampshade, completely cleanse all the centers and all the paths, then life energy stream smoothly. We call Kundalini, which we are going to practice. And then can you just give me the pronunciation? Hermes? Yeah, in English and the Greek. Greek, how do you say? Is it Hermes Trismegistus?
Ο Ερμής Τρισμέγιστος.
Okay, English version?
Trismegistus.
Trismegistus, is that all right?
The three time
Trismegistus. Hermes Trismegistus. That,
It is hard.
that's gonna happen. Okay. then we overcome all three worlds, which means we can travel freely wherever we want to go. Which means we can go down, underworld to help people who are struggling. This is really holy work. This is the work which we are going to work in this session, in this today. And relating to raising the vibration and lowering down the vibration in the psychoanalytical world, when we have exosomatics in the etheric double of the material world, and when we want to lower down the vibration, it's relating to your question, Andres. We feel like receiving a cool, kind of comfortable, cool shower. But when we low down the vibration from the noetical world to the psychical world, we feel almost like a fresh, cool air. So my point here is when we raise the vibration in each plane, passing through all the planes and subplane, we really feel it by the feeling of this kind of heat and also brightness and the lightness of ourselves. Of course, as Daniel said, scenery will be different, but we can tangibly feel it as light and heaviness. And one of the clue, if we are in a psychonoetical shell or real psychical world or noetical world, is like when you, for example, when you have a dream, and when we introspect it, if it is what you see that day, in the daytime, it's most likely. So most of our dream is like in the psychonoetical shell. So if we don't experience anything, but it suddenly came, but then we should introspect it. It might be the real world. This is one thing. And about the vibration, according to your question a couple of days ago, story, I learned myself, teaching says, we have a second death, or second exosomatosis, or second death. What do you think makes us to cause second death?
Vibration?
Yes, of course. But what really makes us, second death means in the psychical plane, we are in the psychical plane, but they ascend to the noetical plane. What makes us that?
Exhaust our desires.
Yeah, it's part of it, so, but the forgiveness. When we forgive something psychonoetically, we really ascend to the noetical plane, pure noetical plane. This is how teaching says. I was so impressed by the word. Forgiveness really makes us light and bright, detaching all kind of heavy burden in our heart. So. Okay, so we will move on the exercise. Could you please maybe up to 2? Okay. Oh, by the way, Bios, how do you pronounce in Greek? Cerebellus. Cerebellus?
Cerberus. Three-headed dog?
Yeah.
Or Kerberos.
Yeah. In Greek, yes, I heard it. Yes, someone called it Kerberos. Can I call it Kerberos?
Yes, you may.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do you want?
Yes. And I need another one too,
Okay.
later. Now I need. The last work is gonna happen in here. Hercules don't travel far away anymore, but he goes to other dimension, underworld. But physically, the physical location is in this area. Okay. Can I cheat a little bit? First, he goes to. Just a second. Where is Athene?
Number 3.
Athene.
Number 3?
Is Athene around here?
Athena,
Athena.
Yeah.
Athena is around here.
yeah.
First, he goes to Eleusis, place around here, and asks the guidance what to do to go to underworld. And he traveled to here. How do you call it?
Peloponnesos.
Peloponnesus. And he goes down the path called the Taenarum in Laconia. Okay, this is the entrance of the underworld. Okay, and he goes to the underworld, do the adventure, and go around here. This is where Telubellus is. And after taming the dog, he goes back to the place called Tiryns. Tiryns is around here. Yes. This is where King Eurystheus lives. So his journey is like going up here and all the way down to south here and find the Kerberos. This is the entrance of the underworld, and find the Kerberos and bring him to here. This is the journey, but it's all in the Greek area, underworld, both this area. Like as always we do, we create a four-sided pyramid, and we will start the exercise, a visualization exercise of his journey first. And there are so many people, characters in this story. The first, the person called Eumolpus. Eumolpus. He's the advisor how to go to underworld in a sacred place. And he will meet Hermes of Caduceus of Hermes. And Meleagre, he's a Greek hero. And Dionela, the sister of Meleagre. And she's gonna be the wife of Hercules later. And he met the hero Theseus. He is the hero to kill the Minotaur in other Greek legend. And also he meet Pelissos, the person called Pelissos. And next he meet the person called Ascalaphus. And Persephone and her mother Demeter. Is Demeter okay? Demeter. She's a symbol of Mother Earth. Deep meaning behind it. Demeter. Persephone. Yeah. So far. So when I pronounce it, that's the character of the myth. Oh, another person called Menoetius. He's the herdsman. Yep. Okay, then let's start the exercise. Close your eyes. Relax your material body. Calm down your feelings and thoughts. Relax all three bodies completely. Breathe deeply, consciously, and rhythmically. Start etheric breathing. And accumulate the etheric vitality in the etheric double of your bodies. Create your white light body. Visualize a four-sided pyramid in center number 10. You are standing in the middle of the four-sided pyramid. Your noetical workshop. On your right, Archangel Ma'al is. On your left, Archangel Raphael is. On your back, Archangel Raphael. Yes. In front of you, Logos. Yes. Now create your archangelic form. Now you will proceed on the path from the center number 10 to the center number 8 and start the work on the last labor, number 12, the taming of Kerberos. Now visualize the King Eurystheus. He has been ordering you, Hercules, the most difficult labors, wishing to destroy you completely every time. But you have overcome all the difficult labors. You really express more and more the dignity and the appearance of a true hero. King Eurystheus doesn't like it at all. He feels like he is almost supporting your legendary stories and fame. As a last resort, the crafty king plans and orders you to go to the place where he thinks that he can definitely defeat you. That is the underworld. He orders you to go there, capture the watchdog of hell, Kerberos, and bring it back to him. You have to fight with the evil power of the underworld now. The dog Kerberos is owned by Hades. This beast has 3 dog heads, but has a dragon's tail. And has hairs made of snakes on his head and back. Venom is struggling out of his open mouth. He protects the entrance of the underworld, watching over whoever tries to trespass the underworld, and eat whoever escapes from the underworld. You need to prepare for this horrible quest. First, you decided to go visit the holy place Eleusis in Attica and receive a purification and initiation ceremony by the priest Eunuchus. much about esoteric teaching about the underworld and the upper world from him. With the knowledge of the mystery school, you prepare yourself to face the evils in the underworld. You start the journey and reach to the entrance of the underworld, located in the city of Paenalum in Laconia, in Peloponnesus. Hermes, the god of messenger, is also the guide of soul. He accompanies you down to the underworld from the deep gap of the earth. Then the king Pluto, Hades, appears. The atmosphere is gloomy and occupied with dark shadows. But the shadows immediately disappear when you, Hercules, and Hermes arrive. But the spirit of Meleagre and Medusa, one of the Gorgon three sisters, don't move at all, just standing still and staring at you and Hermes. You try to kill Medusa with your sword, but Hermes stops you, holding your arms and whispers, "You can't kill her. Such evil spirit is just an empty shadow. Even with the sharpest sword, you can't harm her." So you left Medusa and now speak to Meleagre and had a good conversation, promising to tell his regard to his sister Deianira on earth, upper world. When you get close to the gates of the underworld, Hades, you meet Theseus and Pirithous. Theseus is another hero who killed the Minotaur in the labyrinth in Crete, and helped your ninth neighbor to fight with Amazons before. But he now captured by the King Pluto in underworld. Theseus and Pirithous both ask for help from you while reaching their hands out. They really want to go back to the upper land where they can spend their life under the sunlight. So you rescue Theseus successfully by cutting his bonds. But when you try to help Pirithous, the earth started to rumble. Earthquake happened, and you failed to help him. Pirithos has to remain in the underworld. After that, you meet Ascalaphus, the one who betrayed Persephone by spreading the false rumor that she had eaten the pomegranate of Hades, which made Persephone not able to return to Earth free. Then her mother, the goddess of earth, Demeter, despaired at the loss of her daughter. They tried to crush Asparagus with stones. So you try to remove the stone from Ascalaphus, but you fall down on the herds of oxen owned by the king Pluto. Then the herdsman Menoetius challenges you a wrestling match. You immediately grip his body tightly and break his ribs. Now the king Pluto, Hades, is standing at the gate, blocking the entrance of the city of the dead. And you, Hercules, shoot an arrow at him. And it pierces his shoulder. And he writhes in pain. And now the king, Pluto, realizes how strong you are. So he does not refuse when you humbly and politely ask for his permission to take his hound dog of the hell with you. The king gives you a condition. The king allowed you to take his hound dog, but the king gives you a condition that you have to capture his dog without using any weapons. You agree and start to take off all your weapons and ornaments except the breastplate and the lion's skin. And you set off to search for the dog. You find the dog near Achelon. He is sitting and staring you down, growling like thunder. Now the battle starts. You hold his 3 heads in between your legs and put your arms around over his neck and hold him tightly. The beast, Kerberos, beat you up with his dragon tail and bite your side with his sharp teeth. But you never ever loosen your grip and even keep holding it more tightly. The dog gets choked by its throat and gets weak. And you lift him up and it gets quiet little by little. Now you have tamed him. You leave the underworld from a different entrance with Kerberos and safely return to the earth, the upper world. When the hellhound dog Kerberos sees the daylight, he goes crazy by fear and begins to spew venom all over the places. But you take him to Tiddins, where the King Erithas lives in the palace. And show the famous hell dog with the fetter. Erithas, the king can't believe his eyes. He's so despaired, and finally gives up on assigning you any further labor with the intention of destroying you. He admits your strength, the hero Hercules, and discharges you. You take Kerberos back to the King Pluto and the underworld. You have successfully completed the last labor consciously, implant the entire scenery well. Take your time, do the work. Now dissolve the image. It will be preserved in your subconsciousness. And slowly feel your material body and come back to its environment again. We will contemplate on the meaning of the story in the next session.
Okay, let's take a 15-minute break.
Thank you, Take care.
Roland, slowly.